Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Andrew here with Jake, Hazel. We just got back from the LA Regional. We drove up together, and it was just us two. And we came back with the top boys. This is our boys' first top ever. What were you playing?
I ended up playing salad.
And what place did you get?
I ended up topping place 8.
Just slid in.
Slid in there.
And there was one that didn't make it with the same record as you. What was your record?
8-1-1.
8-1-1, 10 rounds. And
It was worth it.
what was the tournament like?
It was good. It was definitely a grind. I just picked the deck up 3 weeks ago, so learning it, coming back into the game, it was fun though, so it was worth it.
All right, shout outs.
Shout out, of course to you, my boy, putting in that work with me. Shout out to the SAC boys, they know who they are. The Arizona crew that I test with as well, locals, shout out to them. And then shout out to the big man himself, Jobber.
And the sponsors.
The sponsor.
All right. Okay, so the night before you were making some cuts and some last minute changes. Guessing it worked out. You want to talk about that?
It did. So
You want to talk about it as you go through it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So we'll start with the deck profile.
So usually we start with 3 different cards, but
So I ended up deciding not to play the debug and just the flame buffalo. Reason behind it is just the debug. It felt too fragile. I've had many instances where it just got ogred and my plays just stopped there. And unless I open some sort of, little combo to at least do something, it still just ended up getting blown out. And then I basically had to start over the next turn. So opted for the Flame Buffalo. I ended up playing more of the Salamangreats, besides, of course, the Gazelle. I played 3 Foxy, and then 3 Spinny. Originally, I was only playing 2, and then just 2 Flame Buffalo. Found myself still needing that additional Cyburst to ditch with Flame Buffalo. So it did very well all weekend for me, or the one day, I should say, all event. There's one instance where I did Flame Buffalo, ditched a Salamangreat, and then I drew 2 Flame Buffaloes. So, but the next turn it ended up getting me like right back in there, and at least at that point I was still able to play that turn. So it was good. And then the one-ofs, Foul, Jaguar, and then Falco. We found something out interesting at the event actually from the head judge and from a couple other people with the foul play. So generally what happens, so say for instance you normal the Spinny, link it off to Bay Links, and then you reveal the Gazelle with foul in hand as well. We thought that you would have to chain foul in that same chain link, but what ended up happening, or we were told, is you can, after the Gazelle summons, you search for the field spell, Gazelle activate effect, you can actually chain the foul at that point because it's still considered to be within the summoning window. So something new. It didn't come up for me this event, but just going forward, I'm still going to get confirmation on that because it just seems too good to be true.
oh yeah, we might have to play more foul at that point.
Yeah.
Super good.
So that's the Salamangreats, and then the Buffaloes. I ended up playing 3 Phantasme, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, and then 2 Ghost Ogre. They all played as they were supposed to. It was really good. Ghost Ogre, my buddy Andrew wanted me to play 3. I just kind of commit to it. I know it's really good like against mirror match, and then that's really it besides the striker hitting the multi-roll. But other than that, it felt good with 2. When it came up, or when I did draw it, it came up and it worked, and I didn't really find myself wishing that I had a 3rd. Onto the spells. 3 Circle, 1 Sanctuary, 1 Will. I tried Will at 3 with a higher count deck, and I found myself bricking with it. And then I never tested 2, and I just felt more comfortable with 1. So maybe test this some more, see if it's good at 2. But when I did draw it, I mean, it did what it was supposed to do, and won me the games. Then opted for 2 Desires. That's why it worked out, I think, because of the Flame Buffalo. I played more Salamangreat, so I potted Desires after I did all of my combo. I felt comfortable doing, knowing that I still had, Salamangreats to go for after the fact if I did need to continue on. One instance, I banished all my key pieces in the last round, and I still ended up winning that game somehow, so it was lucky. Traps, I played one Roar, one Rage, didn't find myself really needing more than that. Whenever I went second, I always sided this Rage out, and still felt comfortable just because the impermanence, and then I played the 3 Strike.
How was this?
It was really good. I mean, I thought I was doing some spicy tech, but apparently this is like a standard now for all the Salamangreat. So, but it worked really well. Round 10, game 3, or no, round 10, game 2, I opened with 2, and then I drew into my 3rd one, so my opponent just didn't get to play, and I slowly was able to just outgrind him, because at that point he had basically no cards, and I at least had some cards to go off of. So overall, it's 40 card main. It did really well. Happy with it. I don't think I'll change much in the main deck, but side and extra for sure stuff will change.
And before this extra deck, there was no Fusion Fire.
No Fusion of Fire. So same thing is, I felt like whenever that card, whenever you resolved it, you use so many resources, and then if like you don't kill your opponent, you're going to die the next turn because you've overcommitted at that point, unless you've just got like Rage, Roar, Strike, things like that to protect yourself after the fact. But my opponent, round 4, he Fusion of Fired my board away, and then was not able to kill me. And then on my turn, I was just able to capitalize off of him, using basically my cards and then his resources as well to just end on like a Sunlight Wolf and then the Fusion. And that's all he had. He didn't have Trap or anything like that because he sent off Fusion of Fire with Gazelle and committed to that at that point. So I knew I was okay. And I had like Will, Gazelle in my hand, so I was just able to go off and kill him that next turn.
Yeah, I saw a few instances that this whole regional where people were just sitting on their Fusion and the other person was coming back at them.
Exactly. And I mean, I played 4 solid mirror matches this event, so not once did I actually like miss it. And every time my opponent went for it, it's either they killed me or they didn't. And majority of the time they didn't, just because I was playing like the traps, because the Fusion, you have to activate its effect really to capitalize off of it. And when you activate that effect, like I can strike you, I can ogre you, and then at that point, if you don't have Balinks in grave already, for the ogre, the strike will just get rid of it, and at that point, you look silly, really.
And that happened round 10 where the guys Fusion your field away.
Yeah, and then he activated effect, and I think I striked it. Yeah, I striked it, so I was just able next turn to go off it and like kill him. So for the extra deck, I played 3 Balinks, 3 Sunlight Wolf, 2 Heat Leo, 1 Morastalio. This card came up a lot, especially because of the cards in my side deck. As far as like the Gamma I would continuously bounce that card back to my hand, and I didn't find myself ever needing to, besides if I was like just limping along, and at that point I felt like I was already losing, so 1 was fine for me. 1 Hida, 1 Phoenix, 1 Update Jammer, Baguska. I opted for Baguska over Abyss Dweller because when I picked this deck up, I already had a Baguska, and I didn't own a Dweller, and so I just got so used to just summoning the Baguska, and it's really good against the mirror match. And then, yeah, I just stuck with it, so still don't want a Dweller.
How was it?
It was good. Whenever it came up, it slowed my opponent, down enough where they couldn't like really do much, and then on my turn, I just switched it to attack, and it's a 2100 beater, plus all my Salamangreat cards. So it's very easy to just kill your opponent.
Oh, yeah. And, tell them why you think Baguska was better than Dweller in the mirror match. It was like the attack difference.
Yeah. So the attack difference. So with Dweller 1700 attack and then 1400 defense. So even if I put in attack or I put it in defense, they get over it. Now I have nothing to show for my next turn, and at least with Baguska, it's like 2000 defense, so they have to go into a link play or else their monster is going to be in defense. And at that point, they basically are not able to get over it. They'll try and do, some things, and then again, that's where my traps come in, just to slow them down, or my hand traps even. and at that point, it survives majority of the time.
You make them waste resources just to clear it.
I played Borload and then Bomber Dragon. I kind of decide which one of these to play, so I just ended up playing them both and cutting the Ningrusu. Ningrusu did come up for me, and I was a little mad about that, but these 3 cards will probably change around. Update Jammer, I didn't summon these at all. There's no instances where the OTK with this would come up. And Borload I used one time, and it was against a Dino player, so it didn't really come up too often either. So I want to play around with the extra deck some more. And then for the side deck, I played 3 Gamma Seal. Good against Striker, good against Thunder, good against a lot of decks. Lancia, I was expecting Thunder Dragon, and I didn't play any. I played an Orcus deck, so at least I was able to side it in against them. And then I also played against a Dino deck, so I sided it against him, and it did good. It did what it was supposed to do. 2 Prankachops. Didn't really see it too often, and when I did, I was already at an advantage against my opponent, even though I was going second, because I would have like my Phantasme on board. So then they, only had 1 monster or whatever the case may be, and I just wasn't able to summon it too often. For the spells, I just played the 3 Twister, sided it in against, I don't even know what I sided it in against. I think it was just the Orcus deck, because they were playing the Rusty to go into as a thought, yeah. So I put it in against him, and then of course, like, he sided it out because I made him go first, and he was planning on going second. So it like fooled him, but then it also came back and fooled me. Played 3 anti-spell. It was more for like the Pendulum and then also the Striker matchup. I sided in, I never saw it. I only played 1 of the Endymion deck. I was able to just to capitalize off of my hand trap, so he wasn't able to really play. There was one instance where he summoned, like, I think it was Sloth and things like that, but I had Impermanence, so I was able to just shut him down and then like kill him, because he didn't set up with like negates after that, so he committed too much to the Sloth, and he ended up losing because of it. And then last card was Imperial Order. This card was really clutch. I only sided it in against the Striker matchup. I played round 9, and then I won game 1, and then game 2 I ended up opening it, and I opened it, and I think it was like Roar, and in phase he MST'd, and he hit the Roar, and so on his turn when he tried to Jamming Waves my set, which was Order, I just flipped it up, and then I won from there because he had already wasted his blind MST. So yeah, that's my deck profile.
Nice.
It did good. My side I want to tweak a little bit now that I feel more accustomed to it, and then I got to really play in 10 rounds of just grinding. So I went 8-1-1, so my only loss was to an anti-meta deck. How
was that?
It was a 0-2 sweep, so I couldn't really do too much against him. Even though one of the games I went first, he somehow was able to like manage to break my board, and I didn't end up grabbing Rage, which I should have grabbed rather than the Roar, because the Rage would have just cleared more cards, and I think I would have been okay that game at least. And then I drew against Salamangreat.
One of our buddies.
Yeah, so there's just really nothing we could do there. But I ended up playing against 4 mirror matches. I beat 3 of them, drew with 1. I played Striker, I 2-0'd him. Played against Dino, 2-0'd him. Pendulum, 2-0'd him. So I only dropped 5 games the entire tournament, so I think it was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for the deck profile. We will definitely get some more tops. Thanks, JRB. All right, thanks, guys.
Take it easy.